I told him my flirting meant nothing. He walked out without a word. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Sarah, female 24. Posting this because I literally can't stop thinking about how badly I messed up, and maybe someone can tell me if there's any way to fix this, or if I'm just doomed to regret this forever. So basically I had this amazing boyfriend, Jake, male 24, for like 3 years. We started dating junior year of college and he was perfect, like annoyingly perfect. He studied computer science, was super smart, always remembered little things about me, brought me coffee when I had early classes. You know those guys who are just genuinely good people? That was Jake. Everything was going amazing between us for a while, but then problems started when I got more active on social media. I had always posted here and there, but suddenly I was really into it, posting stories and reels all the time, and guys would slide into my DMs constantly. At first I just ignored them, but then, I don't know, it felt kind of good. Like having all these random guys telling me I'm hot and stuff, it was such an ego boost. Jake followed all my socials, obviously, and he started noticing. He'd be like, why is this guy commenting fire emojis on all your pics? And I'd just laugh it off. Told him he was being paranoid. But honestly, I was loving the attention. I started posting more and more because I liked seeing how many guys would hit me up. The thing is, Jake wasn't controlling about it at first. He'd just mention it casually, like, hey, that guy from your marketing class has been liking every single photo you post. And I'd roll my eyes and be like, so what? It's just social media, babe. But then I started actually responding to some of the DMs. Nothing crazy at first, just like thanks. But this one guy, Marcus, kept messaging me, and he was actually funny. We started having these long conversations about random stuff, movies, music, and our similar taste in food. And yeah, it definitely got a little flirty. Jake could tell something was different. He'd catch me smiling at my phone, and when he'd ask who I was texting, I'd just say no one important. Which was such a lie because I was starting to look forward to Marcus's messages more than talking to Jake. The worst part was when Jake would try to be romantic or sweet, I started finding it annoying. Like he got me flowers one day just because, and instead of being happy, I asked him what the occasion was in this sarcastic tone. He looked so hurt, but tried to play it off. I told him the whole thing was so extra, and he didn't need to do it because it puts this pressure on me to do the same. I still think that made a lot of sense. Things got worse when Jake started bringing up my social media more. He'd ask me why I posted a story at 2 a.m. and if I was talking to someone, and instead of reassuring him, I'd get defensive. But the truth was, I was talking to someone. Marcus and I were staying up super late texting, and it was getting really flirty. Like he'd send me pics of himself working out shirtless, and I'd send back like the fire emoji or looking good with the eyes emoji. One night, Marcus sent me this long message about how he wished we could hang out in person, and how he bet I was even more beautiful without all the filters. And instead of shutting it down, I sent back, I'd flirt with you more if I could, with the smirking emoji. Like, what was I thinking? Why would I send that? Jake was literally sitting next to me on the couch when I sent it. He was watching some Netflix show and trying to hold my hand, but I kept pulling away to text. He finally asked who I was so busy texting with, and I just snapped, told him he was being super clingy and possessive, that I was allowed to have friends and he needed to stop being so insecure. The look on his face, I cannot even explain it, guys. He just nodded slowly and went quiet for the rest of the night. I think that was the moment everything changed, because after that Jake started pulling away. Earlier, when he did try to be romantic, I'd make jokes about it. Like he wrote me this really thoughtful note for our anniversary about how much he loved me and all these specific things he admired about me. And instead of appreciating it, I showed it to my friend, and we laughed about how intense it was. I even called him dramatic and cringe. But looking back, that note was beautiful. He talked about how he loved watching me get excited about little things, that I made him want to be better, how he couldn't imagine his future without me, and I just laughed at it. Meanwhile, Marcus was getting bolder. He'd send me good morning texts before Jake even woke up. He'd comment on every single thing I posted. Started sending me Venmo requests as jokes, like $5 for being gorgeous today, and I thought it was hilarious. Jake saw one of those Venmo notifications on my phone and asked about it. I told him it was just a stupid joke, and he just didn't get it. I couldn't even explain it because there really wasn't any explanation. Marcus was just flirting with me through Venmo, and I was letting him. The breaking point came when Marcus asked if we could FaceTime. I said yes without even thinking about it. We talked for like 2 hours, and it felt so exciting and new. He kept telling me how pretty I was, how much he'd love to take me out, asking what I was wearing, Classic Playboy stuff, but I was eating it up. Jake came home from class while I was on the call, and I quickly hung up, but he definitely heard me laughing and talking in that flirty voice you use when you're into someone. He asked me who I was talking to, and I just straight up lied to him. I told him it was just a friend from class, but we both knew that wasn't the truth. He stood there for a minute, and I could tell he didn't believe me. Then he asked me if we could talk, and I knew this was going to be another one of his serious conversations where he wanted to discuss our relationship and feelings. So I was already annoyed before he even started. He sat down next to me and explained how he felt disconnected with me and that nothing was the same as before, and he missed how we used to be. And instead of being honest or reassuring him, I just got irritated. I told him he was being dramatic for no reason at all. He then explained how a couple of nights ago when we went to dinner, I spent half the time taking pictures instead of talking to him. He wasn't wrong, but I didn't want to admit it. I was so done at this point that I called him needy, and his face just fell. He repeated the word needy like he couldn't believe I'd said it. I told him yes, he wanted my attention 24/7, and it was exhausting. We didn't have to be attached at the hip. What I should have said was that I loved him and was sorry for being distant, that I'd been getting attention from other guys and it made me feel good, but it didn't mean anything, that he was the most important person in my life. But I didn't say any of that. Instead, when my phone buzzed with another text from Marcus, I actually picked it up and started reading it right in the middle of our conversation. Jake just stared at me. The text wasn't even as important as the conversation was. It was just Marcus sending me another shirtless pic with some stupid caption about wishing I was there, and I smiled when I saw it. Jake saw me smile, and something in his expression just broke. He point blank asked me who I was talking to, who was making me smile at my phone like that. I mean, I could have come clean right then. Told him about Marcus and how it had gotten out of hand, but it didn't mean anything, that I loved him and wanted to work things out, but instead I said, "You're being paranoid. It's literally just social media." He then surprised me and asked me for my phone. And that's when I got really defensive, started yelling about privacy and how relationships need trust, and he was being controlling. All while clutching my phone like my life depended on it, because obviously I couldn't let him see it. There were literally hundreds of messages between Marcus and me, screenshots I'd sent to my friends making fun of how obsessed my boyfriend was, voice messages where Marcus would call me baby and tell me how much prettier I was than other girls. Jake listened to me yell for a few minutes, then just stood up. I was still ranting about trust and boundaries, and he just walked to our bedroom and started putting some clothes in a bag. I asked him what he was doing, and he just said he needed space to figure out what he wanted, and he was going to stay at his brother's place for a while. And the crazy thing is, I was actually relieved, because it meant I could text Marcus without looking over my shoulder, could FaceTime him without Jake walking in. I told him out loud what a good idea that was. That's when Jake paused in the doorway with his bag, looked back at me one more time, and left. I should have stopped him right then. I should have said I wanted him, but I didn't. He left, and I immediately called Marcus, told him my boyfriend was being weird and possessive and we'd had a fight. Marcus was so sympathetic, telling me I deserved better, that any guy would be lucky to have me. For 3 days, I barely thought about Jake. Marcus and I texted constantly. He sent me good morning and good night messages. We'd FaceTime until like 3 a.m. talking about everything and nothing. He made me feel interesting and desired in a way that Jake hadn't in months. Or maybe Jake had been making me feel that way, and I just stopped noticing because I was too busy looking for validation from strangers online. On day 4, Jake came back to get more of his stuff. I was on the couch FaceTiming Marcus when he walked in, and I didn't even hang up right away. Just mouthed 5 minutes at Jake and kept talking. That's when I saw something change in Jake's face. Like he finally understood what was happening. He waited for me to hang up, then said we need to talk. I told him to be quick, and I had plans tonight. You see, I was going to meet Marcus in person for the first time. We were going to get drinks, and I was so excited. I had bought a new outfit and everything. Jake asked me if I was going to see him, and I told him that his name is Marcus, and he's just a friend. He told me not to lie anymore, but it was something in his voice that made me actually look at him. He looked exhausted. There were dark circles under his eyes, and he'd lost weight, and for just a second, I felt guilty. But then my phone buzzed with another text from Marcus, asking what I was wearing tonight, and the guilt disappeared. I told Jake I didn't know what he wanted me to say. We were going through a rough patch, but that didn't mean anything serious. He asked if I was in love with Marcus. The question caught me off guard. I told him what? No, God no. Marcus was just fun to talk to. He asked if I wanted to be with Marcus instead of him. I said it wasn't that simple. Jake sat down across from me, and for the first time in weeks, I put my phone face down without checking the notification. He told me that 3 years ago, I was the first person he thought about when he woke up, and the last person he wanted to talk to before bed. I was his best friend, and the love of his life, and he thought he was mine too. He said somewhere along the way, he'd become an inconvenience, something getting in the way of whatever excitement I was looking for online. He kept trying to figure out what he did wrong or how to fix it, but now it wasn't worth it anymore. My phone buzzed again and again. Marcus was sending me a bunch of messages about how excited he was to see me, how good we were going to look together, asking if I'd thought about what might happen after drinks. Without thinking, I glanced at my phone. Jake saw me do it and just nodded slowly. He asked me to explain to him why I'd rather stare at my phone than look at him, why I laughed when he tried to be romantic, but smiled when some random guy texted me, or why I was getting dressed up to go out with another man while my boyfriend of 3 years was sitting there, and I couldn't explain any of it, because he was right about all of it. I said weakly that it didn't mean anything. It was just flirting, which was harmless. I told him I only loved him. He said if I loved him, I wouldn't be texting other guys at 3 a.m. I wouldn't make fun of him when he wrote me love letters. I wouldn't choose to spend my time talking to some random guy, instead of my boyfriend, who'd been trying desperately to reconnect with me. My phone buzzed again, and this time I didn't look at it, but Jake did. He told me to go. But I didn't want to anymore. I wanted to talk about this, to fix us. He said there was nothing left to talk about, that I'd made my choice weeks ago and just didn't have the guts to tell him. I was entertaining a man who wanted to sleep with me without any care, so there was nothing left between us now. He stood up and headed towards the door. He was packing the rest of his stuff up, but I was too shocked and frozen to move. I couldn't believe what I had done. I had lost Jake just because of my stupidity and need for attention, but somewhere deep down, this ugly side of me still wanted to go meet Marcus. I had been looking forward to it all week. A part of me wanted to experience that thrill again, the need to be wanted. He went into our bedroom and I could hear him moving around, packing. Part of me wanted to follow him, to beg him not to leave, to promise I'd delete Marcus's number and never talk to him again. But like I said, another part of me was also checking my phone to see what Marcus had said. He'd sent like 8 messages asking where I was and if I was still coming. Said he'd already gotten us a table at this nice cocktail bar and was really excited to finally meet in person. Jake came out 20 minutes later with 2 suitcases and his laptop bag. I asked him if his decision was final, and he didn't even say anything, only stared at me. My phone was buzzing constantly. Marcus was getting worried, asking if something was wrong, saying he really hoped I hadn't changed my mind, because he'd been looking forward to this all week. My phone rang. Marcus was calling. He asked if I was okay and said I was supposed to be there like 20 minutes ago. I told him that there was just some drama with a friend and that I'd be there soon. I touched up my makeup, grabbed my purse, and left. The date with Marcus was fine. He was cute and funny and kept telling me how gorgeous I was. We had a few drinks and talked and laughed, and it felt exciting and new. But the whole time I kept thinking about Jake, wondering where he was staying, if he was okay, if he meant what he said about not being there when I got back. Marcus walked me to my car around midnight and tried to kiss me, and for a split second I almost let him. This was what I'd been building up to for weeks, right? This was the excitement I'd been craving. But when he leaned in, all I could think about was Jake's face, how broken he looked. I turned my head so Marcus kissed my cheek instead. I drove home and Jake's car wasn't in the driveway. All his stuff was gone. He'd even taken the little succulent I'd bought him for his desk. I called him, but it went straight to voicemail. I still left a message telling him how sorry I was, and that I made a mistake and I wanted to fix this. He didn't call back. I tried again the next day and the day after that, always straight to voicemail. I finally got in touch with his brother, who told me Jake had asked everyone not to give me his new address or phone number. He needed space to heal, and I needed to respect that. What left me even disturbed was the fact that Jake's brother asked me how I could have cheated. I defended myself and told him I never slept with anyone else, but he said emotional cheating is still cheating and it's worse. I hung up and immediately called Marcus. If Jake wasn't going to forgive me, then fine. Maybe Marcus and I could actually try dating. But when I called him, he was weird and distant. He told me that the date was cool and everything, but he wasn't looking for anything serious right now. He was just looking around to have some fun, but I had too much emotional baggage that he didn't need. My heart sank. All those messages about wanting to be with me and wishing we could hang out more were just meaningless. And apparently I was the only one who didn't realize it was all fake. Marcus told me he was sorry if he gave me the wrong impression and hung up the call. I just sat there staring at my phone. Everything Jake had said was right. Marcus didn't want a relationship. He'd just been saying whatever he thought I wanted to hear to keep me interested, and I'd fallen for it completely. I'd thrown away 3 years with the most amazing guy I'd ever met for someone who didn't even want me. I called Jake again, still straight to voicemail. I drove to his brother's apartment, but no one answered the door. I knew they were probably there, but just not answering. I tried texting him from different numbers. Nothing. I even drove to his work, but his coworkers said he'd taken some time off, and they weren't sure when he'd be back. It was like he'd just disappeared from my life completely. Is there anything I can do to get him back? Update. My last post was 6 months ago. I haven't heard from him since. I've tried everything I can think of to reach out, but he's blocked me on literally everything. Social media, phone, email, everything. I heard through mutual friends that he's doing better, that he's been going to therapy and focusing on himself and seems happier. I also heard he's been talking to someone new, some girl from his work who apparently thinks he's amazing and treats him like he deserves to be treated. And I'm happy for him, I really am, because he deserves someone who appreciates him and doesn't take him for granted the way I did. But I'd be lying if I said it doesn't hurt, because I miss him every single day. I miss having someone who knew me better than I knew myself, someone who remembered my coffee order and brought me soup when I was sick and wrote me love letters that I was too stupid to appreciate. I miss having someone who loved me unconditionally and wanted to build a life with me. I haven't been dating at all since then. Guys still reach out, but they are all so meh, looking to just spend the night with me and nothing more. Marcus texted me a few weeks after our non-date, asking if I wanted to hang out again. I didn't even respond. I deactivated all my social media accounts about a month ago. It just felt toxic and pointless. All those likes and comments and DMs from guys who don't even know me. None of it meant anything. It was all just empty validation from strangers. But Jake's love was real. His attention was genuine, and I threw it all away for literally nothing. I know he's never going to forgive me, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't forgive me either, especially after what I did. I lost the love of my life because I thought flirting with strangers was harmless fun. Because I took his love for granted and thought he'd always be there no matter how badly I treated him. I was wrong, and now I'm alone, sitting in my studio apartment that feels too lonely and smells like ramen, writing this post at 2 a.m. because I can't sleep. Jake, if you somehow see this, I know you probably won't believe me, and I don't expect you to forgive me. But I need you to know that I'm sorry. I'm so incredibly sorry for everything I put you through. You deserve so much better than what I gave you. You were right about everything. I didn't love you the way you loved me. I loved the idea of you, the security of having you, but I didn't love you enough to fight for us when it mattered. So don't be like me, guys. Don't be an idiot like me.